Black woman insulted by racist judge in court minutes later. He was arrested by her. The courtroom is packed. Rows of wooden benches are filled with spectators, lawyers, and journalists. A tense atmosphere lingers as Olivia Carter, a federal prosecutor, stands tall in her navy blue suit. She walks toward the prosecution table, her heels clicking against the marble floor. Across from her, Judge Richard Whitmore adjusts his robe, his cold eyes scanning the room. He leans back in his chair, smirking. Olivia prepares to speak, but the judge raises his hand, cutting her off. I expected better from this courtroom. Instead, I get someone who should be in a kitchen rather than at a defense table. A murmur spreads through the courtroom. The public defender, seated across from Olivia, shifts uncomfortably. The stenographer hesitates before typing. Olivia takes a deep breath, gripping her pen. Her heartbeat remains steady. She refuses to react emotionally. Instead, she straightens her shoulders and locks eyes with the judge. Are you questioning my place in this courtroom, Your Honor? Judge Whitmore chuckles, leaning forward. No, I am simply stating the obvious. People should stick to what they are best suited for. And I don't see a woman like you fitting in here. A woman like me? Olivia's voice is calm, measured. The tension in the room thickens. People shift in their seats, anticipating an outburst. Olivia, however, keeps her expression unreadable. The bailiff clears his throat, avoiding eye contact with anyone. The jury members exchange glances. Olivia turns to the jury. She speaks with precision, choosing her words carefully. Justice is meant to be impartial. We all swore an oath to uphold the law without bias. Yet here we are, in a courtroom where even the judge sees people through a distorted lens. Judge Whitmore scoffs. He taps his gavel once, but Olivia doesn't waver. Are we here for justice, or are we here to validate prejudice? Silence. The judge's face hardens. His knuckles whiten as he grips his gavel. Olivia finally takes her seat, placing her hands flat on the table. The tension in the room is undeniable. The victim, a black woman wrongfully accused, watches Olivia with silent hope in her eyes. The judge exhales, shaking his head. If you have an argument, present it. If not, stop wasting my time. Olivia leans forward, her voice unwavering. I intend to do exactly that. The trial resumes. Olivia questions the first witness, carefully laying the foundation for her case. Judge Whitmore interrupts at every opportunity, objecting, dismissing, scoffing. His words drip with condescension. Olivia, however, never falters. Objection. The judge's voice booms every time Olivia gains momentum. On what grounds? Olivia asks, her tone never betraying frustration. Irrelevant. The defense attorney remains silent. The jury observes everything. Whitmore's behavior becomes increasingly blatant. At one point, he rolls his eyes as Olivia presents evidence. He sighs dramatically as she continues. Finally, Olivia stops. She stands still, watching him, calculating. Judge Whitmore smirks. This is exhausting. I suggest we move this along before we all grow old waiting. Olivia tilts her head slightly. Are you implying that justice should be rushed, Your Honor? The judge laughs, but his amusement is forced. Olivia steps closer to the bench, voice calm, measured. Perhaps the real problem is not the pace of justice, but who is delivering it. A few gasps. The tension shifts. Whitmore glares at Olivia, but she does not look away. Her pulse remains steady. She waits. He grips his gavel tighter. For the first time, uncertainty flickers in his eyes. Act 1 concludes, the pieces falling into place. Olivia has laid the foundation, but the battle is far from over. The storm is coming. Olivia Carter stands firm in the courtroom. Judge Whitmore glares at her from the bench. The jurors shift uncomfortably in their seats. The air in the room is heavy. Olivia maintains her posture. She turns to the defense table, eyes scanning over the public defender who has barely spoken. The defendant, a black woman wrongfully accused, watches Olivia with silent desperation. "Your Honor," Olivia says, her voice steady, "I move to present a crucial piece of evidence that will clear my client's name." Judge Whitmore exhales sharply, tapping his gavel against the bench. "Denied. Move on." A ripple of murmurs spreads through the courtroom. Olivia expected this. She reaches into her case files and pulls out a document. She looks at the jury. If justice is to be served, then the jury must see all evidence related to the case. Judge Whitmore leans forward. "Are you questioning my ruling?" "I am ensuring that the law is followed," Olivia responds. The judge's expression darkens. He points his gavel at her. "Be careful, Carter." A warning. Olivia doesn't flinch. The courtroom door opens. A man in a dark suit steps inside. He moves quietly, taking a seat in the back. Olivia notices him. The judge does not. She turns back to the jury. This evidence was suppressed. If presented, it will prove the defendant's innocence. Judge Whitmore scoffs. "Are you implying misconduct?" "I am stating facts," Olivia replies. The judge taps his gavel, his voice louder now. "Move on, or I will hold you in contempt." A beat of silence. Olivia holds the judge's gaze. Then she turns back to her table and gathers her papers. She appears to comply. The tension in the room eases slightly. The judge leans back, smug. Olivia keeps her expression neutral. She waits. The man in the back stands. He walks toward the front. A quiet authority follows him. Judge Whitmore notices him now. His expression shifts. "Agent Jordan," Olivia says, addressing the man. "Would you care to share what you found?" The judge stiffens. The room goes silent. Jordan pulls out a folder. He hands it to Olivia, who places it on the prosecution table. "We have been investigating multiple cases presided over by Judge Whitmore," Jordan states. "Evidence has surfaced indicating a pattern of judicial misconduct." Judge Whitmore's face pales. His fingers tighten around his gavel. "This is absurd," he spits. The jury watches closely. Olivia remains composed. "Would you care to deny that cases involving black defendants have received disproportionately harsh sentences?" Olivia asks. Judge Whitmore slams his gavel. "This is an outrage." Jordan pulls out another document. Financial records indicate undisclosed transactions. Bribes. Money funneled in exchange for verdicts. The courtroom is still. Olivia watches as Judge Whitmore's expression shifts from anger to something colder. He looks at Jordan, then at Olivia. His breathing changes. Judge Whitmore rises from his seat. "I will not be subjected to this circus." Olivia takes a step forward. "Then you should have ensured justice was blind, Your Honor." Judge Whitmore turns to the bailiff. "Remove them. Now." The bailiff hesitates. Jordan does not move. Instead, he reaches into his jacket and pulls out a warrant. He steps closer to the bench and holds it up. "Judge Richard Whitmore, you are under arrest for judicial corruption, bribery, and obstruction of justice." Collective gasp. Judge Whitmore's jaw tightens. He grips the edge of the bench. Olivia watches, silent. The bailiff steps forward now, his expression uncertain. Judge Whitmore does not move. Jordan steps closer. "Your Honor." Judge Whitmore exhales, his shoulders stiff. Olivia sees the resignation in his eyes. He turns slightly, placing his hands behind his back. The bailiff hesitates before securing the cuffs around his wrists. The courtroom remains tense as Judge Whitmore is escorted out. Olivia Carter watches him disappear through the side door. She turns back to the jury. The silence is heavy. The bailiff looks unsure. The court clerk hesitates before gathering documents. Olivia moves with purpose. She steps toward the bench, placing her hands on the wooden surface. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, she begins, her voice firm. Justice is not about power. It is about truth. Today the truth was revealed. She lets her words settle. The jurors exchange glances. Some nod subtly. Others remain frozen in shock. My client was never meant to receive a fair trial, Olivia continues. But fairness is not a privilege. It is a right. And today we reclaimed that right. The defense attorney shifts uncomfortably. The defendant at the table exhales, her hands gripping the edge of her chair. Olivia turns to the prosecutor's table, picks up a file, and walks toward the judge's bench. A temporary judge will be appointed to oversee the rest of the proceedings, she says. Until then, I motion to dismiss all charges against my client. The bailiff steps forward. Until further notice, this courtroom is adjourned. Olivia steps outside the courthouse. The steps are lined with reporters. Cameras flash. Microphones extend toward her. She lifts a hand, signaling for silence. The crowd quiets slightly. Miss Carter, one reporter calls out. Did you know this would happen? Olivia keeps her expression steady. The facts led us here, she says. Justice follows facts. Another reporter pushes forward. What does this mean for the people Judge Whitmore sentenced unfairly? Olivia scans the faces in the crowd. It means their cases will be reviewed. It means the system must hold itself accountable. It means that silence is never the answer. A man steps forward from the crowd. He looks familiar. He clears his throat. I was sentenced by Whitmore 5 years ago, he says. I knew something was wrong, but no one would listen. Olivia meets his gaze. They are listening now, she says. The crowd erupts in more questions. Olivia holds her ground. She gives a final nod and turns away, moving down the steps. She does not need to say more. The fight is far from over, but today, a battle was won. Days pass. News stations replay the footage of Judge Whitmore's arrest. His history is exposed. Financial records surface. Former defendants come forward. Olivia watches from her office, hands folded on her desk. Her phone rings. She answers. Miss Carter, the voice says, we need you on another case. She listens. She nods. She ends the call and stands. Olivia walks through the courthouse halls. Her heels echo against the marble floor. She passes familiar faces. Some nod in respect. Others watch with careful curiosity. She reaches a courtroom door. She places her hand on the handle. Justice does not rest, she says to herself. And neither will I. She opens the door and steps inside. The fight continues. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more stories where justice prevails against all odds, check out the next video on our channel. Stay informed, stay empowered, and remember, truth always finds a way.